Hey everybody, welcome to Tea and Chocolate. And my name is Lauren Spaniolo, and I'd like to welcome you to this segment today. I'm very excited about my guest. Her name is Cheryl Stelte, and I've asked Cheryl to introduce herself to us. And basically, the discussion is going to be around using our voices, self-empowerment and healing, and spirituality. And we're going to explore, or I'll help the exploration of what the Cheryl's experiences and what practices she uses on, living a good life. All right. So thank you so much for joining me, Cheryl. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've been looking forward to this for such a long time. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. I am just thrilled to be here with you. It's a real honor. It's a real honor.
Thank you. So yes, why don't you begin where you would like?
Well, maybe first I'll just introduce myself.
Mhm.
So I am a spiritual coach, master healer, two-time author, and also a speaker. And I've really sort of come out of the closet most recently in claiming myself as an expert trauma healer.
Oh, wow.
Really at the core of what I do. And so I have started my own spiritual school. I'm the CEO of Star of Divine Light Institute, and I have also have my own Azarias online energy healing certification program where I teach others how to do the type of energy healing that I do on anybody in the world.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. So full disclosure, I did this voice chakra. The chakra is an energy center here, right? So it's all about using your voice with Cheryl. And I would like to begin by starting there and just describing like the program and what the purpose behind it and the power of the voice and why you chose to really. I know that throughout the meditations you reflect on other parts of the body, but that one is your vehicle, it seems like.
Yes, it's interesting. So that was my first book that I wrote, Heal Your Neck Issues and Let Your Throat Chakra Shine. I did not want to write that book. Like
Okay.
many people who have suffered trauma, we resist what's best for us. We resist, really being empowered. And what I realized was that almost all my clients had throat chakra issues, serious throat chakra issues. And I suffered with a lot of throat chakra issues growing up. I think I've had most of them, including chronic laryngitis and tonsillectomy at a young age and teeth issues. And it just goes on, canker sores and hearing loss. And so I wrote that book because the throat chakra is about being seen and heard, absolutely. And it's really very much about speaking our truth, but it's especially about expressing our soul's purpose, why we're truly here. And as you know, Lauren, I do chakra readings. And so I look at people's energy. It's not necessarily just about the chakras, but what I see is something very unique in people. I see our energy centers as light and our beings as light. And Kirlian photography has shown, that we are made of light. And where there are blocks in us, where we have wounds or the more serious wounds, traumas, the energy doesn't exist. It's actually black and the energy isn't flowing. Behind the root chakra, which is at the tip of the coccyx, is what I call the spike of purpose. And that spike is very evident in people who have a sense of purpose or, wanting fulfilling work or doing fulfilling work. You have a spike of purpose. This is part of your purpose, is you love to do your podcast. You're very passionate about it, among other things. And that energy of purpose rides up the spine to another spot of light that exists behind the throat chakra. It's back there. Most people are disconnected from that. Most people have difficulty expressing their truth of their being. and why they're here. There's a disconnect. And so the throat chakra, to me, at the height, the peak of the throat chakra is that expression. And so it's healing the wounds starting in the root chakra, everything around safety and stability in the world, going through the other chakras so that that energy can ride up and come forward.
Beautifully articulated. I actually had an epiphany about my childhood with what you were saying, but I can tell you that later. You know what came to mind also is obviously using our voices, and sometimes we need to put words to our experiences. And so whether it's a therapist or a friend, what about when we get into those situations where we're, call it gossiping, call it like a triangling, and you can't really quite use your voice authentically. What are we actually doing there? What do you think?
That's such an intriguing question. When we're gossiping or that sort of thing, we're really when you were saying it, I'm thinking we're avoiding. We're avoiding expressing who we truly are, and we're avoiding hearing who other people truly are, because it's the need to speak about the other. We go outside of the connection with each other. So we're fundamentally maybe attempting to experience connection together, but it's so difficult to be authentic. So it's much easier to talk about someone else.
Right. Now, I'd like to go to your past here for a moment, because you said that in your childhood, it sounded like you already were highly aware.
I was highly aware of the breath. I was just telling
Really?
someone about that today.
Oh,
I grew up in Alberta.
yeah.
The next province over from where you are, minus 25. And I would often, as a child walking to school, I had 6 blocks to walk, even in grade 1. And I would start shivering, it'd be minus 25. And I noticed my body would get really tense. And my mother told us to never breathe through our mouths because our lungs could freeze, to always breathe through our nose. So I'd breathe through my nose, but I noticed if I took really long breaths, I could calm my body. I could relax my body, at that age. And so I started using that skill later on. But
you were having a somatic experience and you didn't even know.
but really in many ways far from aware, as a matter of fact, shut down emotionally. And I think I was aware in some ways, but in other ways hardly even present.
Right. Okay. I know that you've had other vocations prior to this. What was the opening? Like, how long ago was that you just kind of went onto this new path for yourself?
Oh, it was just over 25 years ago, really. So I started on a spiritual journey 30 years ago, discovering meditation. And that was, that was an experience in itself. But it was soon after that I started helping other people, and it was volunteer work in the beginning, because I thought I cannot be charging for this. And
Right.
so I started studying different modalities, and early on shamanism. And so I would do power animal retrievals and do some spiritual work for others. And then it was when I started my spiritual interior design business, which was in 2000. So that was 23 years ago, and became a full-time spiritual entrepreneur and also an interior designer. And my business name was Stelte Design, designing for the soul. And one of my interior design instructor, who was also coaching me on business when we got to naming our businesses. And I was so proud of my tagline, because that's what I was all about. And I meditated on it. I had such clarity. And she said, well, you can't use that, because you'll only get, 10 or maybe 20% of the people that you could be working with. And I just said, I don't care. Those are the ones I want to work with. So I'm going to let the world know. And there was no such thing as a niche back then, right? It was, and so that's what I did. And I did all kinds of spiritual work along with, it was very spiritually based interior design to help people access who they truly are and express that into their environment.
Yeah, because it's so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our environment. How would you describe spirituality? What does that mean for you?
Boy, that's such a good question. How would I describe spirituality? It's, you know, to me, the ultimate in spirituality is feeling one with all, that we really are all one.
Yeah.
And this separation is an illusion. And so there's baby steps we take to get there. Do I live in that state of oneness at all times? No.
Right.
I do not. And yet I experience it frequently. And so it's often a choice. It takes not so much effort, but surrender to that and allowing. And so it takes practice. One must have a daily practice. It doesn't just come out.
Right. Yeah. Can you tell me what that looks like? Like, let's just say you're having a moment of oneness. What in literally, what does that mean so that the people can understand?
If I'm in a state of oneness,
Yeah.
right now, I would feel that I am you and you are me.
Mm-hmm.
And the beautiful art on your walls might speak to me, but I already know what they're saying. Like it's everything is alive. Everything is alive and connected, and there's an energetic flow. It's even the glasses on your face, it's like that.
Like that. Okay, that's really cool. When it comes to the world climate, I don't mean temperature. I mean just sort of these call them distractions or happenings. How do you keep that oneness in these times or in the past, or because they've been going for thousands of years, but how would you handle that for some people feeling the stress?
How I live in many ways, I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news in years. And when I look at our global climate and everything that's going on, I actually see how we're being challenged to evolve. And so everything that's going on is an opportunity. And so I attempt to live my life seeing the good and the bad and the bad and the good.
Right.
So I try and look at all situations, even if I'm offended by somebody or there's when I do read certain things that are going on, a lot of my news I look for online, and I read these things, and it really stays with me, and I wish it didn't, but it really stays with me, and I try and hold that person or that situation in love and light, and that people can evolve through things. And the other, with human beings, what really helps me is the line that I use for myself: I don't know what their soul's journey is.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one, but you're right.
And so it just takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
Someone is behaving badly or hurts me or someone else, and I don't know what their soul's journey is, and I can feel other people's souls at times, and I believe fully that it's the old souls are the greatest souls, and those are the ones that sign up for the most adversity coming in. I believe that we choose our parents, our soul chooses to come to this earth in a human body, chooses those souls. I don't know how many contracts or what all goes on in detail, but we choose that, and it's the younger souls that choose easier lives. And so I think it's for all us people that may have had adversity in our lives and challenges and difficulty, that we're the older souls. We're further along on the journey.
And I hear you. I think that resonates. But when it's someone who's really causing harm to others, that's where it gets really hard to sort of take what you say in.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the challenge. That's the challenge. And so the person that's being harmed, what I see in people is I see trauma that's started early on, as early as in the womb, and it develops, it snowballs, and they attract more of that. So someone who has been abused in their early childhood will often be abused in their adulthood.
Yeah.
And so there's two people there, and
Mhm.
there's the abuser, and it's up to the victim to take responsibility and step out of that, not making it okay. And what has the perpetrator learned
Right.
in their lives? So they have their own trauma that has caused them then to do that. They're in pain.
Mhm.
The perpetrator is in severe pain. I read something the other day on a woman who gave birth to a child in Oklahoma, did not take the baby to the hospital. She had a boyfriend, told the family she took the baby to the hospital because apparently you can just within 72 hours surrender your baby to the hospital, no questions asked. And what she did, she took the baby and wrapped it in a mattress protector somewhere and a plastic bag and put it in a garbage compactor. And that stayed with me. And she went to jail. You know, she's charged. And I'm like, what about the mental illness?
Right. Right.
What about the mental illness? What about the pain she was in to do that?
Yeah.
What kind of help is she getting? You know, and she's being put in jail. And so yes, it's a crime. And I don't know everything. You know, I can't know everything, but how do we treat each other?
Hmm.
Global climate,
Right.
where's the love and compassion? How can we bring more of that into the world? And that's why I call myself a master healer, and how I finally come out of the closet and I'm saying I'm an expert, I'm a trauma healer. That's what I specialize in, because I can see people change quickly. I just had a client last week who said, wow, we just went, this was just so deep and so fast. And you know, her business has changed, her business relationships, because we can. And what if we don't have to wait till you know, I'm not sure how old you are, but we're somewhere similar. We're not 20. But what if we did this work earlier on, you know?
Hmm.
If
Yeah.
we did this work earlier on and we treated each other with loving kindness, knowing that when people cause harm, they're in pain.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Um, what came up out of that for me was love and light, because you often say love and light. I understand why you say love. And I think I understand why you say light as well. But oftentimes people in the world they might hear love and light. So if you could explain why you might end off an email with love and light.
Yes, and that is so important to me.
Yeah.
The whole universe is filled with love. I remember the day
Yeah.
that I received that guidance. I used to lead this group on, it was every second Monday. I would lead a meditation in my home. I had a meditation room off my bedroom.
Right.
And they had all come, and I'm guiding this meditation, and I experience love everywhere, that you could just go like this and grab it, touch your face. It's love, that there is love everywhere in everything. It permeates everything. And I had this experience and I was leading this meditation and trying to help lift others to have this experience. And this was more than 25 years ago, a long time ago. And they were friends of mine. We were all friends. And the light, the more we go inward and we discover our true selves, we realize we are light. And it's also, there's steps of realization. Developmentally, we keep evolving, and there is a phase that is, you just experience so much light, and it's bright. And so so much of why we're here is to discover that light within,
Mhm.
to discover that light within.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen pictures of souls, like you see the white, it's
Yeah.
like white
Yeah.
light.
Mhm.
This is what we are in our being, and we can discover that.
That's an interesting point because right now, I would say that it seems like I know that you're not religious, and many people definitely want to make that distinction between spirituality and religion. And I know that Christianity is sort of, at the moment, it's kind of taking a beating. People don't want to be sort of associated with it, or in fact, I think there are various leaders. It seems, this is my impression, okay, and there's a reason why I'm saying this, is that they kind of want to break down that family system or like Christianity. And I fundamentally think that's wrong because everybody needs to have a choice. But by the same token, I feel that it's kind of removing themselves or dismantling that so that they don't have any connection to anything. Right. So where, if someone's called to be a nun, then great, so be it. Maybe she wants to feel freedom, maybe in ways, maybe for her, it's a path of freedom, I wonder if you can speak on that a little bit. It's, yeah, like what's happening is I feel like people are really being judged for their spiritual journeys. And I think this is wrong to me. Like we're not giving that choice right now.
I would agree. I'm certainly not anti-religion. I was raised Catholic. I've studied other faiths, especially Buddhism for some time, and even Hinduism. And I will tell you, I must share a story. I took on this client, and I did a chakra reading on her, and I saw all this energy coming up off the top of her heart chakra. So like this, here's her heart chakra, and all this light, just this powerful light. And it was so thick and so vibrant.
Yeah.
And that is the energy of devotion. And I said to her, and I didn't know she was Christian. I had no idea.
Right.
And I said to her, do you pray, or do you have any kind of devotional practice? And she said, well, yeah, I pray. I said, do you have a particular religion? She said, I'm Christian. And I said, wow, because this energy in you is so strong. And I've seen it in many other people since. When we pray and we're praying to God outside of us, the energy goes like this. It comes up and off the heart. Well, what about the God inside us?
Oh.
And what I did, I helped her. I said, do you believe God is inside you as well as outside of you? And she said, yes, I do. I said, why don't you try to start praying to the God inside you? And everything she hoped for through working with me came true and more. And it just was so powerful for her. And so religion helps us. It gives us a structure per se.
Yeah.
It's a container for our spirituality, whether it's prayer, meditation, whatever it is. And absolutely, people have the right to it. But I sure noticed in myself, I really studied Sufism. I belonged to a Sufi school for quite some time. And that's where I really learned to pray inward. And it's amazing. You pray to the God inside your heart. And there's all these stories, of the past in all different religions that we can learn and grow from. So it's one thing to intellectualize.
Yeah.
And be self-righteous. So it's equally, if we think, well, people shouldn't have religion, well, what about the people who have their religion and they think it's their way or the highway?
That too.
So it's sort of like, what language do you want to speak? What clothes do you want to wear? What color of lipstick do you want to wear? What religion do you? I remember telling my mom, I was in India, And I got my yoga teacher training, and I was really getting into Hinduism. And then I went off into Buddhism, and I became a Reiki master and all these things. And I said, Mom, I think I'm becoming a Buddhist. Oh, she was appalled. She said, well, Buddhists don't believe in God. I said, well, maybe I could be a Buddhist who believes in God. Why not? And, it's whatever we want to make of it. But, I think it's very important in that we respect other people, that things don't have to be non-denominational, or they can be denominational, choose, pick
Right.
what you want for you and claim it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it sounds like you've had a lot of like exploration with things, and it's kind of brought you to this place today, like with all that, and it kind of, I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Where I think I've seen it get in the way. A couple people with some pretty severe issues were referred to me by a psychiatrist to work with me. And one person was, two people actually, it's against my religion.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. Okay. Wow. Okay. By the way, I really love that word devotion. It can mean so many things. When we're talking about the power of the throat, and why we may not use our voices, whether it's through fear or conditioning, stuff like that. Can you talk a little bit about like family systems and generational trauma?
Mm-hmm. So, generational trauma happens. In my family, there's hearing loss, which is a throat chakra issue. So the ears are part of the throat chakra, the eyes are part of the third eye.
Yeah.
So that exists in my family, and I wear hearing aids. And I did at one point regain my hearing spontaneously, and it lasted about 3 months. I didn't at that time have the capacity to hold it, and it suddenly started fading. There was a big swoosh sound, and then over the next few months it faded and went back to where it was. The good news is, for the last 20-25 years, my hearing hasn't changed. I had my hearing loss, and usually it keeps going down, and mine has not. And so there's the trauma we experience. Trauma is stored. Scientific imaging actually has proven that trauma is encoded in the right side of the brain.
Really?
Yes, it's encoded in the right side of the brain. And so the right side of the brain experiences the experience through sensations and emotions, not through words, not through thoughts. And so when we experience trauma, the right side of the brain won't remember it all cognitively.
Okay.
It's fractured. It's in pieces. And so that's why talk therapy doesn't really heal trauma, because you're in the left brain, you're talking. Other methods like EMDR, somatic experiencing, energy healing, like what I do, I go very, very deep into that. It's all the right side. And as soon as a person starts talking, they're telling a story, I know they're in their left brain. I'll let them have a little bit of that, and then I'll pull them back into the emotions and the sensations and do that. And so the generational healing, through our families, can absolutely come forward. It's genetic, and it's an energy. And some of it, I believe it's sort of twofold. One, in that a lot of it is learned from the parents. So the parents learned from their parents, and so on and so forth. And even, it has been shown that in adopted children, the trauma can come through. And why is this child experiencing this when there's been, an illness or different things like that? Why are they showing signs of trauma? Well, you don't know what was happening to the mother when she was pregnant, nor do you know the family history. And so that absolutely plays a part. I don't believe it's the best approach, to go back generationally and try and heal the ancestors and expect that to heal us.
Do some people do that?
It's a big thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who?
And so
Okay.
I haven't experienced that working so well. And I did a chakra reading on one woman who specialized in that, and that's all she did. And she was in tremendous pain, and her energy was just, so I don't know. For me, I believe that we heal ourselves. We are the soul right now in this life. We heal ourselves now, and the past generations can heal because we've healed. So even as we heal, it helps our family members because our vibration changes. And so that influences others. And with respect to past lives, I used to I got into past lives and remembered past lives and all sorts of traumas and great things that happened and everything. And it doesn't help us in our souls live that life. It's sort of done, but the more we can do now, it can spread forward and behind us.
The psychedelics, is the purpose of psychedelics sometimes take us back there?
It can. I'm not all pro psychedelics. Simply, there's a lot out there right now. There is a lot, especially ayahuasca has really,
taken off.
that's really taken off. And I had tried ayahuasca. The thing is, we're not in control. You're sort of at the mercy of the psychedelic.
For sure.
Maybe in extreme cases, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary. And even, I practiced shamanism regularly for 9 years. I led drumming circles. I did a lot of shamanic healing, a lot of shamanic work, journeying. I don't journey out of my body anymore. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. And you're better to learn the skill and learn the skill in your being. Whatever you can do with a psychedelic, you can do better with just your being, using the breath, sound, whatever it is, prayer, meditation, song, so much that we can do. That's my belief. Yeah.
Right. Well, it sounds like also too that, you were, becoming the teacher while you were going through these things. Right. There's a healing modality that you have as one of your experiences. It's called Herkoya. Is that it? Herkoya. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, and so I learned Herkoya healing when I was with that particular spiritual school. It was based in Sufism, and it really is. But it's working with the chakras. And so I learned a lot through that. And then, so I was using that modality. And then I developed other ways to go deeper and to do the healing faster. So it's very much part of the work I do, but there's a lot I don't do with it. It's kind of like Reiki. I did energy healing with Reiki. That's with the chakras. This was one form. And I really bring together Chinese medicine as well. The meridians, like we can use the meridians are filled with light. We have thousands of energetic channels that we're using, but it was through that work that I learned. I own a tea garden, founded acupressure, and Ron Kurtz. I really studied through that program. I studied Ron Kurtz, who's Hakomi, body-centered psychotherapy. And that really helps you see the mind-body correlation, and also a lot of self-study with Peter Levine. Book, Waking the Tiger, and somatic experiencing and somatic touch. And I was a guinea pig for a sister-in-law of mine for some time. And so learning all these different modalities and then bringing it all together.
Okay. The meditations that you offer, which is the group, it's called the Azarias, correct?
Yeah, the Azarias is the type of energy healing.
Is it? Is there what does the actual word mean?
I haven't talked about this for so long.
I Googled it, by the way, but I want to hear this from you.
Ah,
I don't know.
well, it was, I did not have a spiritual school. And I told my husband I would never start a spiritual school. I would always just be Cheryl Stelte, a proprietor.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just going to do that. And then one of my Azarias Energy Healing students said, I need to belong to some sort of organization because people are asking me, where did you learn this? What are you doing? She said, I need to belong to something and I need a better name. I had this long-winded name for what it was. And it was, very self-explanatory, but way too long. She said, I need a much shorter name. And I wanted, part of me wanted to say no, because I don't want to have all this. And I said, okay, well, let me think about it. And I immediately hung the phone up and I meditated. And I immediately got the name of my spiritual school, Star of Divine Light Institute. And then, and Azarias is the healing that I do. We need a greater power than ourselves, because we as humans, we really can't heal others very deeply. We're limited. We're human beings, we're in the flesh. And so we call on Archangel Raphael. He's the archangel of healing, and we merge with him. And there's a story, Archangel Raphael came to earth as Azarias, and he helped this other guy, Tobias, to do something, and he was disguised as a human being. And so we are Archangel Raphael in disguise.
Okay, well, thank you for that. You earlier had said that, we choose our parents as a way of coming into the world. Do you think that we choose also the way we leave this world?
Oh, I do not know the answer to that question. I do not know. That's not something I've thought of. When I think of leaving this world, I've spent a bit of time, on and off, imagining myself on my deathbed, that it's time for me to go. And what would my regrets be? Because I want to change those regrets right now in my life. I don't have those regrets. And what will I be grateful for, what I did, or, my connections, that sort of thing. So I don't know. I have not put any thought into that's it. How?
Well, you're smart. Anyway, and that's good. It's a good segue into living, because I wanted to talk about living and how we can live, better lives for ourselves. And that doesn't mean, financial wealth, but it could. But what do you think that looks like?
Well, we have the 4 pillars of our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have our careers, we have relationships, we have health and spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And we need all 4 of those. Otherwise we become alienated, and you spoke a little bit about religion before and that sort of thing. And
yeah,
Freud talked about, we need religion or something.
Yeah.
Or something that there's, we have that connection. But living better for me has always meant, I look at my life through a lens. I just want to grow. It's this desire to grow.
Right.
So I used to read a lot of self-help books. I don't read as much anymore. I practice more and look at, we all have our own inner knowing. And so with the meditations, it's touching into myself to help myself grow. So I teach others, as you know, how to become their own energy workers so that we can live a better life. And I think, we can grow so much through our work. And that's, in North America, we're very focused on, what do you do?
Yeah, for sure.
I remember younger, you didn't ask people from the maritime provinces. The way they lived, they didn't say, what do you do? Because so many of them were unemployed. And so they didn't talk about that. So it wasn't a thing. And they were very community oriented. So relationships were very important. And I remember one time, so I was married for 13 years and then divorced, single mom with 2 kids for a long time. And I was dating this guy, and this other fellow I knew said, "Oh, so you have some learning to do now." And I just like, oh my gosh, you're so right. So we learn and grow through relationships. And I think there's something to the saying of, it's not so much about making a commitment to the other person, but making a commitment to the relationship. And it kind of takes the pressure off, that you're committed to growing through that relationship and to help deepen the love, because the love can continue to deepen. And that's, I'm married now again. We've been together over 5 years, and the love keeps deepening, and we have our challenges for sure, but I am so blessed. I had a psychologist once say to me, not long after my divorce, he said to me, with your background and your father, the chances of you having a healthy relationship are slim to none. So you're best to just stay single and be a spiritual leader.
Oh God.
And so
how did you feel when he said that?
Oh, I felt terrible. And then I meditated on it, and I thought, no, this is, we're all meant to love, and it doesn't have to be in an intimate relationship. It can be through friends and family. Absolutely, love and connection and vulnerability are so important. But it's in the intimate relationships that we grow. And it's when 2 people love each other enough that they're willing to grow, to really look at themselves, look deep inside, and heal and grow together and support each other in that kind of process. That's what my husband and I have. And so we get a whole lot of joy on top of it. And, so many of us don't have our needs met, even, especially emotional connection. It's young people today are so much better at expressing their emotions and helping their kids express their emotions. There was none of that when I was growing up. I don't know about you, but it wasn't, people didn't talk about their emotions. Nobody supported you emotionally, in that way. And so living life, to me, is about growing, and it's a practice that we become more of who we truly are. We become better, and it's, humans are not, this isn't supposed to just be a piece of cake, that it's supposed to be easy. Our challenges all serve us. And so if we can embrace them and embrace what is and see how we can grow through it, it shifts things. It shifts things. And sure, sometimes we just need to take a break from it all, go on vacation. Absolutely.
Right. How has this journey shaped you? How has it changed you?
Oh, goodness. So much change. I used to be pretty mousy. I tell my husband what I used to be like, and he just can't believe it.
Really?
Yeah, he absolutely cannot believe it. I had tremendous difficulty speaking up in groups, period. If I belonged to associations or groups that were trying to grow, even in my 30s, and that I really struggled with, even at times paying attention. I'd become dissociated and had a hard time speaking up. And yet, on the other hand, I accomplished some things. I did some fun things in that. But over the years, I would say I'm just so much more aware. And I think because of my earlier life, I was very independent and didn't think I needed people so much. I remember going through that phase, whereas now I'm the opposite. I need people, I need connection, And it's part of why I do the work I do. I like to connect at the deepest level.
Mhm.
So when I help people go into their deep levels of the pain, they find the deepest levels of their empowerment, the truth of their being. And that just fills me up. Oh, it's the best.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Well, congratulations.
You see, it just makes me happy thinking
I
about
know.
it, and this is what I get to do.
So, I'd like to just come to a close. And what would you like to end? How would you like to end this session with? What would you like to share about yourself, and where people can find you as well?
What I would like to say is we are all powerful beyond belief, powerful beyond what we can currently imagine. And the greatest you is unimaginable, and you're worthy of it. You matter so much. You're good enough, and you're absolutely lovable. And so invest in yourself, spend time with yourself. You will do nothing but benefit. And so you can find me at starofdivinelight.com. Just go to my website. You can connect with me on there. You might want to have a chakra reading, or just click a free discovery call.
That's fantastic. I just love that, what you just said. Thank you. All right, Cheryl, thank you so much for being with me. And everybody, take good care of yourselves. I hope you found today's segment informative. And you know what? Give it a shot. The meditations are really powerful. And it's a great way to just pause in the middle of whatever you're going through in life. Even if it's great times, it's just good to pause. All right. So thanks again, and take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Lauren. You're an amazing woman.
Thank you, as you are. All right. Ciao, ciao.